Hey, everybody. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon. I hope you're having a blessed day wherever in the world you are. Welcome to Pep Talk, the podcast that gives you the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. So help us, God, where we take all these complex health and wellness and medical topics and conversations. We break them down into simple, digestible, understandable action steps. And we give you things that you can start doing now to improve your health, the health of your loved ones. And if you're a physician, like most of you are, helps you improve the health of your patients in your community as well. I'm your host, Dr. Eric Naputi, 20 plus year private practicing physician in the field of functional medicine and functional neurology, where we focused on helping people get to the root cause of their problems and giving simple, common sense solutions to common problems that are out there today. Today, we're going to have a conversation about cancer. Now, listen, I want you to understand something. I'm not treating your cancer. I'm not curing your cancer, but what I'm doing is I'm sharing with you some of the latest data and research that talks about cancers, primarily, ladies, listen up, breast cancer. There's some massive breakthrough data and science that's out here. I want to talk about recognizing breast cancer, early treatments, things you can do to help mitigate and prevent, even though listen to this. This is what's really screwed up about the world we live in. There are data points, scientific proven data of action steps that you can take to reduce your risk, aka mitigate or prevent breast cancer, but we legally can't tell people because of the laws and lobbyists that Big Pharma and the powers that be that have sold you out in Washington, D.C. They don't want you to know the truth. They want to keep you fat, sick, and nearly dead. They don't want you to know how to prevent the problems. They want you to take their poison, their drugs, and etc. so they can make money off your symptoms, sickness, and suffering. We ain't going to let that happen. So let's get into this. Here's some of my notes I want to read to you today. I want to be real clear on this. So recent research has uncovered a very intriguing link, a causative and correlative link between certain hormones and neurotransmitters and cancer treatments. Okay. This connection involves four key players: estrogen, okay, which most people know that estrogen dominance, estrogen genetically can lead to female cancers, especially breast cancer. Number two, serotonin, which is a neurotransmitter that 90% of that is produced in the small intestine, in the gut bacteria. That neurotransmitter then travels up through the vagus nerve into the brain, and it's the happiness neurotransmitter. Number three is dopamine. Dopamine is also a neurotransmitter produced in the GI tract, 90% of it, then travels up into the brain. Dopamine is the neurotransmitter that helps you feel balanced, helps you feel centered. If you have a disruption in dopamine, that can lead to addiction, addictive personalities, and a whole bunch of problems. And the last compound is a hormone called progesterone. Each of these substances plays a critical role in your body's function, but their impact on cancer and cancer treatment is now coming very sharp into focus. Now, listen, estrogen, primarily known as a female hormone, even though boys and girls, men and women, we both have these hormones. Women have more estrogen, men have more testosterone, women have more progesterone. I mean, this is just the way that it is, right? But estrogen deals a lot with the reproductive process, bone health, and cardiovascular and mental cognitive function. Okay. If you have a estrogen positive cancer, that's the HER positive, then we have a high risk of growing rapid breast cancer. Okay. Serotonin, often misleading as just the feel good neurotransmitter, it's an anti-metabolite, which means it suppresses your body's ability to create energy in the electron transport chain in the mitochondria. So an imbalance in serotonin stimulates a growth and spread of certain cancer cells. Okay. On the other hand, other neurotransmitter shown very promise in treating cancer is dopamine. And if you have a genetic, so your genes in your body, you either have clean genes or dirty genes. A clean gene is a gene that's firing like it's supposed to. A dirty gene is a gene that has a glitch in the system. It's not working like it was originally designed. How do you know you have that? You have to run tests for that. And the best tests on the market are saliva spit tests. I use the BioLimitless DNA Discovery kit to find that out. It measures over 800,000 different SNPs in the body. Plus you get an app on your phone that shows you what lifestyle changes you should make. It's one of the most powerful medical device tools that are direct to consumer out there on the market. You can find this on the website. But if you have a COMT gene, which is a very common gene, that's a methylation gene, that's a dirty gene, you have a higher risk of breast cancer because dopamine levels are going to be off. And if you have an MTHFR gene that's dirty, you're going to also have an increased risk of all-cause cancers, including breast cancers, because of the liver issues and et cetera. Progesterone, which is another sex hormone, which is critical for reproduction health and pregnancy, has really been emerging as an ally in cancer treatment, which is why a lot of functional medicine doctors are working with oncologists. I've been doing this for decades now, where we have oncologists that are doing, their cancer treatments, and we're supporting the immune system with vitamins, minerals, and lifestyle, foods and nutrients, and we're using natural bioidentical hormones and peptides, and the results we're getting are off the charts phenomenal when we work together to improve the health of the patient. But because it's not only an anti-estrogen, progesterone is an anti-estrogen. So if estrogen is too high, you add progesterone or things like wild yam extract, which is a natural progesterone balancer in the body. It's good for men and women. That really can help on a cellular level improve the mitochondrial metabolism and block estrogen and block cortisol. And cortisol is a stress hormone that can turn your gut and your brain into Swiss cheese. And that is not good. Okay. So listen to this. Dopamine's cancer-fighting potential. This is a study published in Applied Science, examined how drugs that affect dopamine and serotonin receptors could and can improve effectiveness of standard chemotherapy treatment. All right. The research tested several repurposed drugs that act on the dopamine and serotonin pathways, looking at those drugs that could reduce breast cancer cell viability. They found several drugs that could do that. Then natural practicing physicians said, all right, well, if the drugs can do it, what if we can do this with natural products like bioidentical hormones or certain peptides that stimulate these hormones, or the changing your lifestyle to improve your genetic output of dopamine and balancing out serotonin. The study found that some of these medications were able to reduce breast cancer viability on their own without chemotherapy. So the studies have shown that if we can balance out serotonin, dopamine, and progesterone and estrogen, man, we can really, really do some major things. Dopamine, while dopamine shows promise for fighting cancer, the study results suggested that serotonin may play a more harmful role. Okay. Again, the jury's out on this. We're not 100% certain, but the data is showing that, look, if there are drugs that increase serotonin, which SSRI inhibitors and things like that, they're not the right way to do this. Okay. That actually demonstrates certain of those drugs demonstrate an anti-cancer effect. But again, there's just not enough evidence to show one way or the other. What they are showing is that if you have a balance of dopamine, a balance of serotonin, a balance and reduction of estrogen, and an improvement of the female hormone progesterone, we can actually really reduce and mitigate the risk of cancers and can be potentially used as a therapeutic as well. So dopamine by itself has direct tumor suppression activity. Dopamine by itself targets multiple pathways, which is similar but even different than conventional chemotherapy. It has effects on cancer stem cells, because if you just cut out the cancer, or if you just burn it with radiation or chemo, a lot of times cancer will come back in 2 to 3 to 5 years. Why? Because the cancer stem cells, which are the seeds that the cancer grew out of, was never completely dealt with, or the suppression of those genes that express that stem cell were not dealt with. And then dopamine also has a counteracting with serotonin's effect. So if serotonin goes too high, dopamine can help balance that out. Now, that being said, I want to give, some insights towards breast cancer, because that's what this study is primarily about, is breast cancer. So let me give you the top signs and symptoms of breast cancer. By the way, massively more common in women than men, but we've seen a rise in breast cancer in men over the past 10 to 15 years as well. It's because of the estrogen dominance in our society. We are eating too many soy-based products. We're getting too many phytoestrogens in our system, like plastics and PBAs and et cetera. It really is a mess. And a lot of the hormone replacement therapies that people take, such as birth control and other medications, are getting into our water and food supply, and it's causing an estrogen dominance in women and in men. It's one of the reasons why girls are getting breast tissues and female figures earlier in life. I mean, kids didn't used to start getting, female characteristics until their early teen years. Now, it's not uncommon for a child, especially a female, to go through puberty at 7, 8, or 9 years old. It's crazy. So number one symptom is lumps or masses in the breast. By the way, I encourage women every week, you should do a self and men's self, breast examination. Abnormal bumps, lumps could be considered cancerous. So if you find something, keep an eye on it. By the way, listen to this, when you're palpating tissue, if it's non-tender, non-mobile, if you move it around and it moves, and if it hurts, it's probably a lymph node. If it's non-tender, non-mobile, that's something you should keep an eye out on, all right? Number two is changes in breast size or shape. Unexplained changes in size or shape of breast could be a sign of potential pathogens or cancer. Number three is changes in the skin color of a breast, redness, dimpling, puckering of the skin. Those are all indications that we have problems. There could be an elevated level of cancer risk there as well. Number four, any type of discharge from the nipple, particularly bloody or clear discharge, should be examined by a healthcare provider. Number five is if you have an inverted or retracted nipple, especially on one side versus the other, that is a change in position or sign of potential breast cancer. If you have pain or tenderness in the breast or nipple, you always want to pay attention. But like I said, non-tender, non-mobile is really what you want to, is the alarm more than anything. Number seven, swelling in or around the breast, collarbone, or armpit, because all the lymph nodes under the collarbone, underneath the armpit, around the breast tissue, and even into the arm can be a contributing factor to obvious signs of breast cancer. Number eight is skin rashes or scaling around the nipple. If you see skin texture changes around the nipple, scaling, peeling, dead skin, dry skin, that could be a sign of breast cancer. You want to be aware of that. Vein enlargement on the breast surface. That typically happens when a female's milk comes in. The breast gets more filled up. A lot of times you'll see the sudden appearance of prominent veins that could be linked to cancer. And then unexplained weight loss or fatigue is always something that you want to look at. So let me give you 10 what I would consider biohacks to help. Again, my gosh, man, it's so sad we can't use the word prevent and we can't use the word treat or mitigate, but I'm going to give you 10 things that you should know to do to help yourself, period. And with this topic, it makes sense. Number one, optimizing your vitamin D levels. We know that optimizing your vitamin D levels reduces the risk of all-cause infections, and it reduces the risk of all-cause mortalities, including reducing the risk of death from cancer. We know that to be a fact. On a blood test, your vitamin D level should be between a 60 and a 100. We want to have it close to 100 as possible. Number two, incorporating antioxidant-rich foods such as berries, leafy green vegetables, cruciferous vegetables like broccoli, cauliflower, and kale can reduce oxidative stress, which have been linked to cancer. Number three, maintaining a healthy weight. We know that our toxins are stored in our fat tissues. We know that when we have increased fat cells in the body, size of them, when we're overweight or obese, we have a higher risk of estrogen dominance. Estrogen leads to increased cancers, especially breast cancer. Number four, limit alcohol consumption. Alcohol consumption is associated with increased risk of breast cancer. Limiting or avoiding alcohol helps take pressure off the liver. The liver is the organ. You keep that thing clean, it reduces the risk of cancers in the body. Number five, including omega-3 fatty acids in your diet. I recommend having natural organic omega-3 supplement, either 3 to 6 grams a day of omega-3 fish oils. Major powerful benefit, improves longevity. We live longer when our vitamin D is adequate. We live longer when our omega-3 levels are good. You can do an omega-3 blood test, but I'm just telling you, you should supplement it daily. Number 6, incorporating cruciferous vegetables. I already talked a little bit about this, but broccoli, kale, Brussels sprouts, sprouted greens, all those kind of things, they have been shown to help with estrogen detoxification, which can then reduce the risk of cancers. Number 7, limit exposure to endocrine disrupting chemicals like hand sanitizers, like plastics, like PBAs, etc. The list goes, like certain medications, like medications like birth control. I mean, man, there are so many other ways you can prevent, like pregnancy, and using birth control pills to regulate your hormones is the dumbest thing you could do. If your doctor is telling you to do that, please, for the love of God, find another doctor that knows what the hell they're talking about. I'm sorry, but we just can't. We have to be able to speak candidly. And that's not disrespectful. It's just a fact. Okay. Number 8, regular physical activity. Look, when you move your body, it balances out your gut. It balances out your immune system. It reduces insulin levels. The stronger and healthier and more connective your connective tissue and your muscles are, it reduces insulin resistance. Insulin resistance then can cause things like diabetes, metabolic disorder, non-alcohol fatty liver problems. The list goes on and on and on and on. Number 9, include fiber in your diet. 95% of the global population is deficient in fiber. This is a big problem. This leads to leaky gut syndrome. This leads to congestion in the intestines. It's a big issue. If the gut's bad, just like Hippocrates said, the father of medicine, all of the diseases are going to come from that. And then number 10, consider regular screening and genetic testing. I would highly encourage all of you to get a genetic profile, not just to look at the BRCA40 genes and the other genes that are out there that can be a predisposition from an epigenetic standpoint, but do a methylation genetic profile. Look at your body's ability to detoxify. Look at your receptors to absorb certain vitamins, minerals, and nutrients. Look at your COMT gene. Look at your MTHFR, the rest of the methylation, the VDR genes. The list goes on and on. I am a huge proponent of the BioLimos DNA Discovery Wellness Kit. This is a game changer. It's really helped take a lot of the guesswork out of what we do with our patients. But look, folks, go back, listen to this, share this with your friends and family members. This is definitely something that is more common than it should be. And there are common sense solutions and action steps you can take to mitigate your risk for all things, including cancers. That's what these studies are proving to show. Anybody that tells you the same is ignorant and you should stay away from them. Sorry, I'm just telling you what you should do. So look, go to our website, go to peptalk.world. That's peptalk.world. Like, subscribe, and share information on social media, because the truth will set you free. And remember, knowledge is power, but wisdom is taking that knowledge and applying it to your life. Folks, until we meet again, I'm Dr. Eric Naputi. God bless you. God bless America, and God bless the world. Stay smart out there, and I'll see you next time. Be well.